Thank you guys so much for watching. Goodbye. Yeah, you need to say goodbye.
Catch you in a bit, dude. I thought you were doing the outro.
Mr. Sneaky, welcome to the channel again. It's a pleasure to have you. The reason why I want you to join us today is because we needed your expertise about the Snowpeak Rock, one of the more popular warpaths in Call of Dragons due to its synergy with some archer, marksman heroes. Could you please quickly tell us, which heroes are the best for Snowpeak Rock?
Yeah, definitely. So at the moment, there's technically two, which is the Kanara and Nico for the marksman units, because they inflict a defense break, which we're going to talk about when we get a bit more in depth about the skill. So you want basically heroes that can inflict defense break, and a really little funky one just to add in the mix for maybe some players that want to spice things up. You can use it in theory with an awakened Forendil, because Forendil also does a defense break.
From his awakening,
right? Yeah, so, but mainly you're looking at Kanara and Nico. These are the two archers that have defense breaks built into their kit as well. If you want the best hero, in my opinion, it is going to be Kanara, and we'll explain a little bit later again when we go and break down the skill.
First of all, let's discuss the attributes. A few days ago, I actually sent you the screenshot of my legendary warpath Snowpeak Rock. I had great agility, great luck, but pretty low strength. Could you please go over the attributes that we need to look for the most important ones, I should say?
Yeah, so normally when you're looking at the Snowpeak Rock, the main three you actually care about on this pet when it comes to the actual skill build as well is going to be your luck. Luck is going to be one of the main ones. This is actually going to be the enhancement, if you want to call it, for damage, for the actual main skill. And then later down the line, you're going to use this luck again for a couple of other skills, which is going to be really important. But then afterwards, the two next important ones is, I wouldn't say one's better than the other. They're basically both, equally as good, which is going to be strength and agility. You need these two really high, because you're going to basically fulfill, again, some extra funky skills in here which want these specific attributes and take advantage of them and give you extra damage. So they're the three you want mainly on this pet.
So strength, agility, and luck being the most important one.
Yes.
All right, perfect. Now, the main question that I wanted to ask you today is, what would be your perfect, the most ideal Snowpeak Rock build when it comes to skills? But first, could you please show your Snowpeak Rock to us? We can go over that real quick.
So this is my Snowpeak Rock, and first one we've got to talk about is obviously the main skill. So this is what you're going to be looking out for, obviously, when you capture the main pet, right? So concentration is your main skill. This is going to fire off damage whenever you're inflicting that defense break, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of what's very, very key about this build, is always inflicting a defense break. And I'm going to show, obviously, a really cool setup that you can put on that's going to increase your chances, especially if you use Kanara too. So the most important thing you want on this build, funny enough, is going to be actually Chain Strike and technically Wild Chain Strike, just to give you a bit more extra damage. But the importance of Chain Strike is the fact that it says it has a 50% chance to deal an additional damage when dealing physical normal attack damage.
Yeah.
So what this actually means is when you look in the battle report, and you can even check on the Mighty Chisgle's channel, because he's got a full video in depth about this, you can see that this Chain Strike actually counts as an additional normal attack.
Oh, I see.
Meaning any of your talents that could be triggering anything to do with a normal attack trigger can be going off this, right? So it's very important you have Chain Strike on, because now if we just kind of jump out of this screen into the Kanara control tree, you'll see that here we have Ambush.
Yeah.
So ambush is obviously whenever you launch a normal attack, you have a 10% chance to obviously defense break them, right? So this is a cool interaction now, because now we have this talent that we could potentially be taking on our Kanara and maybe go down maybe a more heavier control tree. And the fact that you have Chain Strike now additionally giving you maybe an additional chance of hitting that ambush is very, very important for the build. So I think these three, like you must have these three in my opinion. These are just going to give you the most damage, as well as obviously just, as you can see, get your Snowpeak rock to work way more. So after this, skill-wise, as you can see, I've been testing a few bits. Obviously, I like forceful concentration, just increase the amount of damage you get. You can also get as an additional skill, and this is something maybe later down the line, or maybe if you get lucky, you can obviously go on to here and find super concentration, which is going to obviously increase the trigger chance. I personally don't really care about this, because personally I think the chain strike, the way it works is enough of a, an additional chance trigger to get more defense breaks. I don't really think we need to care about super concentration on the damage factor, right? So when we're looking at other skills, I've tried, again, Fierce Attack. Fierce Attack's pretty okay. If you just want something on your pet, just to like do extra damage, you can't go wrong with Fierce Attack and Forceful Fierce Attack. This is just, again, straight up damage on your pet. But now there's a lot more kind of like skills you can be looking at, and one of them is Angry Roar. So this skill, as you can see, it increases your crit rate by 20.84%. You might not care about that, but this is actually really powerful.
Yeah, crit rate is really good.
Yeah, because if you just defense break them with the kit you already have, and instead of having Fierce Attack, you have crit rate, now you're going to be dealing even more damage through, obviously, your attacks. Some people do like your Poison Gland. This is just a straight bypass. Yeah, you can't go wrong with a bit of a bypass. And even other skills like Outburst of Rage, not even bad, because, again, we're using the agility kind of tree, and obviously you wouldn't have Forceful Fierce Attack here. But this is, again, just giving you extra rage. So in theory, with your archers, you can, again, fire off more skills, meaning hopefully more defense break. So this all kind of works on the goal of getting this to trigger as often as you can.
As possible. I see. If you go Chain Strike and Wild Chain Strike, do you also go for Steadfast Chain Strike as the third one?
I think you can have it. So I do have a pet up here, as you can see. Like, this is one where I was trying a few different things out. I've even kind of gone like super Fierce Attack route on that, and I didn't like it. And before this, I had Steadfast Chain Strike, and I didn't really enjoy it. It's okay. Maybe if you've got, a 3-star Steadfast Chain Strike or something, or 2-star one, maybe, because the thing with this skill, when you look at it, is like it's pretty good on paper, because you are always going to be hitting chain strikes with the Wild Chain Strike, so you are in theory getting some sustain in your march, which you wouldn't normally have, right? So you can technically take this, but I just think personally you can take just better stuff, actually just going for raw stats is way better for a march like this. And even stuff like Tooth and Claw, which I forgot to mention, this is kind of like an all-star in this type of packs. It's just increasing the whole damage dealt. So that's increasing this. That's technically increasing my Fierce Attack, and it's increasing Chain Strike. So that could be in this empty slot right now on my pet. And you can see it's just enhancing all of this damage I already have. So Tooth and Claw is a really good one as well that you could put in, So there is a few options that you can go, which is stat-based. Just make sure you are picking, the physical-based ones, because these are all crit damage when physical normal attack damage, right? So you kind of want those ones. Avoid, obviously, these magic-based ones, because you're not going to be using them.
My problem with having 3 Chain Strike skills is that, let's say I also put Steadfast Chain Strike, and then all 3 are agility. So I have no other options to use an agility such as Angry Roar. So that was the main reason I wanted to ask you if you would go for the Steadfast Chain Strike or not. If I ask you this, let me go back to Pet Exchange actually. So there are some, cheaper skills to use maybe as fillers. For example, how about 2-star Tooth Claw? You already talked about Tooth Claw. We have Shield Breaker and Manic Might. Those are both 2-stars are quite cheap, like 1.2k. How do you feel about these two? Which one would you go for if you have to choose one?
if I were going to go for like a super budget one, I'd rather go for Shield Breaker because
Yeah.
again, like penetration, this game doesn't really say it well, but this penetration is the same as like in your talent tree when you got like mitigation. So penetration just means you kind of just ignore so much of their defense stats, so you technically hit harder, which is really good, right? Because in theory you might be a weaker player because someone might obviously have better tech than you, but in theory if you're bypassing their defense that they've got higher than you expect, right, you're still going to get more damage out of it. So you could definitely take something like Shield Breaker just to get that penetration. I wouldn't mind something like that. Even like in certain scenarios, depends on who you are, but people might even consider like bristles. But I personally don't like bristles because it goes into endurance. But yeah, when we're looking at all the other ones, that's pretty much it, because all the other stuff when it comes to like the cheaper skills, even like track and hunt, which is like crit rate when hero's skill deals physical damage, like that's a pretty good one as well. I'd rather personally just try and save up or get lucky through like merit store or something and eventually get the best in slot,
I see.
skill, if that makes sense, because it is one of these, I think it's one of these, sadly to say, systems that is a very long system to work through, and it's gonna be a very long grind to get something like at the maximum that you want, especially as like a low spender or free to play player.
Yeah, exactly. So one more question. It's about Outburst of Rage. I never played with a warpath that has Outburst of Rage, but my question is, it says Legions has a 10% chance to gain extra rage every second determined by agility. Does this one have anything to do with your warpath? Like,
no,
or
this is just a passive.
Yeah, it's just a passive, right? Like when you equip on your warpath, your Legion now has 10% chance to gain extra rage, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's kind of crazy.
It's a little bit weird, and it's massive. Like, at least based on my agility, it gives almost 70 rage.
Yeah, it's nuts. And the crazy thing is, and I was looking at this, and I was discussing it with like other players in like the game, because like at the end of the season, you might not get, the best rewards. But the funny thing is, there is Outburst of Rage as a skill option to buy from the Idrisil store.
Yeah.
So you can spend some of your crystals and get this 3-star skill. And even for me, like I'm just putting it against my Phage rate, which obviously has no agility, right? For a 3-star skill, I have a 10% chance every 8 seconds now to gain an extra 50 rage.
Yeah, it's
like,
insane.
It's insane.
Exactly.
So like, imagine when you do have it on, like we say, like these Snowpeak rocks and the actual agility based pets. If you have this thing on, you're gaining maybe 75 or 100 plus rage like every 8 seconds. It's kind of crazy, man.
Yeah.
So definitely don't sleep on this. I think it's going to be a really underrated skill that people aren't using like fully enough at the moment.
Exactly, that's exactly what I think. Here's the tough part. Now, I want you can take your time, but I want you to build your most optimal, most ideal, like the perfect Snowpeak rock with the skills as well, of course.
Definitely, if I had it on my screen, so I'm having concentration and I'm having forceful concentration. So that's like 2 slots straight away.
2.
So then we're definitely taking chain strike and wild chain strikes. That's 4 instantly. So I know I've got that 4 sorted. So it's the next 4, which in my eyes is the hard part. It's like, which route do I want to go down? Because I could still take technically fierce attack and just ignore forceful fierce attack. And what this would do then is, in theory, I could go for super fierce attack, which actually gives me just higher trigger chance. Instead of being a 40%, I could go for super fierce attacks. I'm definitely probably going to go for that, because that's going to give me now almost a 50% chance of getting that nice damage output, which means, as you can see, I've kind of freed up that agility slot.
Exactly.
I kind of do want to put in Outburst of Rage in that slot, so that's the 3rd agility slot used up. And then the final slot, which I think will be an icing on the cake, would be probably Tooth and Claw, because that will be strength. It means you've got 3 strength, you've got 3 agility, and you've got 2 luck in the whole configuration, which is perfect. You maximize on having those three attributes on the pet, and I think you're just gonna do a ton of damage with the pet, like an absurd amount, especially if you do, some of the skills or talent page secrets that we say with like ambush and stuff like. And you got to think, just like to add this on before I end like my point, you got to think in future that there's going to be more archers. So in theory, more archers could have the control tree or a defense break mechanism. So, this Snowpeak rock that you're setting up right now could be in theory used later on those guys as well.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It is going to be one of those things you need to determine: is this a pet you want to invest into? Archers are going to be the unit type you're going to be playing. If everything is then why not go for it?
Yeah, I see. So what you are not using is, contrary to most builds, is that you are not taking super concentration, and also I guess you are not taking steadfast chain strike. Also, you dropped forceful fierce attack.
Yeah, so I dropped forceful fierce attack
to increase the chance. You decided to go with the super fierce attack.
Yeah, and that allows us again to have that like 3 agility, 3 strength, and 2 luck setup with that.
But as Sneaky already said, guys, if you want to choose a cheaper route, I should say, you can still go for, let's say, a 2-star shield breaker or angry roar to increase your crit rate. These are also viable options, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So in theory, if you didn't want to go with the super fierce attack of that route, you could just go for easily still tooth and claw and like shield breaker instead, right? You could go for angry roar instead of forceful or super fierce attack again, because it's an agility skill. So whatever I've said in my 3-3-2 there is like the best of the best in my opinion build for the rock. If you don't have one of those skills, just look at another skill in the category and just replace it, and then okay, in the future, that agility slot's going to be this skill. I know it's going to be that skill because I've already got it set up in the same order as a 3-3.
I see. Perfect. Sneaky, thank you so much, man. This was, I think with all the details that you provided, this is going to be like the most comprehensive Snowpeak rock. So thank you so much for being here and giving us all telling us everything about this insane warpath. I see you on the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Goodbye. Yeah, you need to say goodbye.
Catch you in a bit, dude. I thought you were doing the outro. Yeah, thank you, man. Anytime, just give us a shout. If you want any pet advice in the future, just give me a bell and I'll be here anytime you want, dude.
Okay, thank you. So I was thinking getting a German Shepherd as a pet. What you say?
Maybe if it comes in Color Dragons, I can tell you the right setup.
All right, goodbye, guys. Goodbye.